recognized to inquire.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Madam Secretary, for your time here with this hearing. As you are, I'm sure, aware, U.S. territories are on the European Union's list of non-cooperative jurisdiction for tax purposes. And with the EU's decision to analyze U.S. territories without the United States as a whole. This blacklisting is a matter of great concern because it's causing harm to Americans and U.S. companies that are in the U.S. territories. Moreover, the U.S. territories lack the ability to meet the requirements allowing to be removed from that list because, as you know, the U.S. Virgin Islands and others are sovereign territories of the United States. In the last administration, the Treasury Secretary, your predecessor, wrote to the Council of European Unions upon the initial blacklisting in 2017, finding that the United States disagrees with the Council's decision to consider U.S. territories separately from the United States and urging reconsideration of both the decision and the decision to include U.S. territories on the list. Does the position outlined in the letter of the previous Secretary of Treasury remain the position of the United States on the issue?
The Office of Tax Policy is engaged with the EU on this issue, and we think that discussions so far have been productive. We're optimistic that an agreeable solution to this issue can be found, and that it's one that will be grounded on the unique status of the listed territories and the effects of their, practical effects of their program. So we're very hopeful this can be resolved.
Thank you. Maybe it's the former prosecutor in me, but I didn't really hear you respond as to whether or not you are continuing to keep the position of the previous Secretary of Treasury on that the U.S. territory should not be considered on this list.
We did. We certainly agree.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, and I appreciate the continued support of that. Keeping within that sector of the Caribbean, you know, I've met with many of my congressional colleagues, members of the Congressional Caribbean Caucus, about how Caribbean countries are treated by international finance institutions and the U.S. government. We're concerned that countries like Barbados and the Bahamas, where I recently visited, as well as Jamaica and others, have been cut off from access to capital and credit, given a de-risking mindset of overly cautious U.S. banks that have been encouraged in doing this, in part, by our own government. This de-risking has been unduly harmful consequences to the Caribbean. And the region has long-standing historic, cultural, and economic ties to the United States, which has resulted in U.S.-sanctioned trade preference programs and the Caribbean Basin having been supportive of American security operations. So I'm concerned and wonder, Madam Secretary, can you speak to the importance of the Caribbean region to the United States and what the Treasury Department is doing to address de-risking in the Caribbean, including the Department's progress on the strategy required by the Anti-Money Laundering Act of 2020?
Well, I only have a few seconds, and I will just say, of course, the Caribbean is very important. We take this issue very seriously and are tracking what's happening with remittances, which fortunately have gone up. We think there are diverse drivers of de-risking, are concerned about it. One contributor is sometimes AML-CFT concerns, and realize it's important for foreign financial institutions to make sure that they mitigate those risks, and we would be glad to provide assistance.
Thank the gentlelady.
Thank you so